From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. The White House has confirmed that President Joe Biden will host Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for an upcoming visit on June 22nd. Spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre said Modi's visit will affirm the close partnership between the United States and India. She said it will also strengthen the two countries' shared commitment to a free, prosperous, and secure Indo-Pacific. As well, Jean-Pierre said it will help elevate the U.S. and India strategic technology partnership, including in defense, clean energy, and space. The two leaders will also discuss educational exchanges and people-to-people ties. The visit will be the first by Modi since Biden took office. Modi is the third world leader to be invited to the White House on a state visit, following French President Emmanuel Macron in December and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol in April. Democratic members of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee have sent a letter to billionaire Harlan Crow. They're asking for more information on gifts he provided to Justice Clarence Thomas and other members of the Supreme Court. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin asked Crow to respond by May 22nd. The letter asked Crow to specifically provide a list of all gifts valued above $415. That includes real estate transactions, transportation or lodging accommodations, and invoices for admissions to members-only clubs. The news comes after reports revealed that Thomas accepted luxury trips from Crow, a Republican mega-donor for decades. Thomas and his wife, Virginia Thomas, allegedly stayed at Crow's lavish properties, including on his mega yacht. In his defense earlier, Thomas has called Crow and his family dearest friends. The Republican-led U.S. House Oversight Committee has alleged that President Joe Biden's family members have received millions in payments from foreign nationals in China and Romania. During a news conference yesterday, committee chair James Comer said many wire payments occurred while Biden was vice president. Comer accused Hunter Biden and his associates of capitalizing on the financial relationship with a Romanian national who was later convicted of corruption in Romania. Comer alleged that Biden's received more than $1 million from him. Most of the amount was received when Biden was vice president. Comer also mentioned Biden's alleged relationship with China, which includes two individuals. One of them is Yi Jianming. Comer said Jianming has had close ties to the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party and operated a multi-billion-dollar energy company with access to large sums of money. A memorandum sent by the committee says it has identified more than 20 companies in Delaware and Washington affiliated with Biden family members. White House spokesman for Oversight and Investigations Ian Sams dismissed the claims. He said House Republicans are really microwaving old debunked stuff. A veteran New York City photojournalist who was arrested during a protest against the murder of Jordan Neely said her experience was horrible and painful. "We're just doing our job and we should not be arrested," Stephanie Keith told Andalu Agency after she was released in Manhattan on Monday. Keith was among several people arrested during a candlelight vigil for the homeless man who was choked to death on a subway train by a Marine Corps veteran. She said she is being accused of disorderly conduct and interfering with arrests, which she denied doing. "We are not protesting. We are documenting the experience of police interacting with protesters. So we are separate from that and we should not be arrested. We should be allowed to do our jobs." She added that journalists should feel safe on the streets, not afraid. The Committee to Protect Journalists strongly condemned Keith's arrest and demanded authorities drop the charges against her. U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is urging lawmakers to fix what he calls the U.S.'s broken immigration system. Mayorkas told reporters, "We are clear-eyed about the challenges we are likely to face in the days and weeks ahead. We are taking this approach within the constraints of a broken immigration system that Congress has not fixed for more than 2 decades and without the resources we need, personnel, facilities, transportation, and others that we have requested of Congress and that we were not given." Mayorkas made the statement on Wednesday as thousands of migrants head to the country's southern border. This was in anticipation of the end of Title 42. That law allowed U.S. authorities to expel migrants nearly 2.7 million times from the southern border since it was passed in 2020, according to government figures. The expiration has raised concerns among officials that it could worsen the existing humanitarian crisis at the southern border by encouraging a surge of migrants attempting to cross into the United States. Under U.S. law, any migrant can claim asylum in the U.S. whether or not they come to the country through a legal port of entry. Supreme Court of Pakistan orders immediate release of Imran Khan. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has ordered the immediate release of former Prime Minister Imran Khan from custody after it declared his arrest unlawful on Thursday. Chief Justice Umar Ata Bandial ordered the release after the warrants through which Khan was arrested in the capital Islamabad on Tuesday were declared null and void. Khan will be transferred to a guest house at police headquarters in Islamabad. He has been ordered to present himself to the Islamabad High Court on Friday, which had declared his arrest legal. Meanwhile, the government has arrested several other leaders of Khan's party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Today marks 1 year since Israel's murder of veteran Palestinian-American Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. Abu Akleh was widely respected for her extensive coverage of Palestine and Israel. She was shot in the head while reporting on an Israeli military raid in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin. Both the Abu Akleh family and Al Jazeera have approached the International Criminal Court to investigate the killing of the 51-year-old Jerusalem native and U.S. citizen. Israeli authorities have refuted the claims that their army killed her, initially saying she was hit during crossfire between Palestinians and the Israeli army. Her brother Anton Abu Akleh said the quest for justice has been a challenge and a big financial burden for the family. Since she also had American nationality, the family approached the U.S. government and met Secretary of State Antony Blinken last July. The meeting came weeks after a State Department report on her murder. It said investigations overseen by the U.S. security coordinator concluded that gunfire from Israeli military positions was likely responsible for her death, but found no reason to believe that this was intentional. According to her brother, no Israeli official has ever reached out to the family. Police in Germany have launched an investigation into an attempted arson attack 2 nights ago on a mosque in the city of Dresden. In a statement issued by the police, a 34-year-old man spilled flammable liquid inside the Fatih Mosque and tried to set the building on fire. He then fled the scene but was later arrested at his home. There are no reported injuries from the fire, but it has caused some damage to the property. The chairman of the mosque's foundation said the assailant was known to the police, and it was his second attempted arson attack within a month targeting the mosque. Germany has witnessed growing racism and Islamophobia in recent years. According to the latest data, police registered at least 610 Islamophobic hate crimes last year across the country. Some 62 mosques were attacked between January and December last year, and at least 39 people were injured because of anti-Muslim violence. The figures also include cases of intimidation, vandalism, and property damage. Germany is home to nearly 5 million Muslims. It has the second largest Muslim population in Western Europe after France. Following Israel's airstrikes on Gaza this week, Palestinian militants fired barrages of rockets into Israel yesterday. The rocket fire was in response to the death of 3 leaders of the Islamic Jihad group during the Israeli attack. The 3 men's wives and children were among those killed in the attacks. The Palestinian Health Ministry says at least 21 Palestinians were killed and 64 others injured in a series of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. An Israeli military statement said 270 rockets were fired from Gaza, of which 205 crossed into Israeli territories. 62 rockets were intercepted by its air defense systems, while 3 fell into populated areas. According to Palestinian figures, at least 130 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire since the start of this year. 19 Israelis have also been killed in separate attacks during the same period. The Islamic Development Bank Group has released an integration report for Arab countries. It aims to measure the level and progress of economic integration among Arab countries of the bank under 5 dimensions between 2010 and 2022. That includes in the areas of trade and investment integration, financial markets integration, production networks, connectivity and logistics, and human mobility and institutional integration. The report said the index results reveal that the level of overall intra-Arab integration was steady from 2010 to 2022. While the financial markets integration was the weakest dimension in 2010, it was the largest driver of integration in 2021, the report said. A new report released Tuesday reveals the ways the Chinese government has forced Uyghurs into poverty alleviation programs to hide labor and other abuses. The previously unpublished documents in the report were released by Adrian Zenz. He is a senior fellow and director in China studies at the Washington-based Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. The documents show that state efforts to push Uyghurs into these programs intensified in northwest China after 2018. It also notes that Beijing has punished non-compliance with its poverty alleviation campaign. Those penalties included the threat of internment and the detection of deviance through automated systems of preventative policing. Zenz called on the European Union to develop effective legislation that targets state-sponsored forced labor affecting an entire region. He also said the United States should continue to enforce the December 2021 Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. That requires American companies that import goods from Xinjiang to prove that they have not been manufactured with Uyghur forced labor at any stage of production. Currently, the EU is reviewing proposed legislation that would allow for an import ban on products related to severe human rights violations like forced labor. Iran has executed at least 7 more people this week. This is despite mounting criticism from governments and rights activists over Tehran's frequent use of the death penalty. Mizan news agency reports that 3 people executed at a prison near the capital on May 10th were identified as members of the largest cocaine distribution cartel in Iran. In a separate case, 4 people were executed the same day on charges of violent rape. According to the Iran Human Rights Organization, which is based in Norway, Tehran has executed 1 person every 6 hours in the past 2 weeks. The group, which maintains a running log of executions in the country, said 205 people have been executed in Iran so far this year, most of them on drug charges. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk on May 9th said Iran has executed an average of 10 people per week this year. Human rights activists say authorities in Iran are using the executions to try to instill fear in society rather than to combat crime. They also say they are targeting minority groups. Half of the more than 40 people killed in the past 2 weeks belong to the Baloch ethnic minority, according to the rights group. Before we end today's news, I'd like to make a special request. It takes our team a combined 55 hours of work daily to produce this news for you. It is news with a unique perspective, and you will find it only here. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization which produces it, and just like PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, or click on the link below to donate. Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.